reviews. Come on. Jesus Christ. Okay. Alright, and hopefully now, if everything goes well, we should be live. Hi everyone, hi, I'm Cryptic Hybrid. Welcome to today's super special Monday evening live stream where we're gonna talk about probably one of the most exciting and cool point-and-click adventures that are in development right now. It's Foolish Mortals, and to talk to us all about that is David. Hello, thanks for coming on.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Alright, so let's just go right in, because I don't know how much time you have, and for some reason I'm very hyper, though I did not drink that energy drink that I had around here. For people who don't know anything about Foolish Mortals, give them a 30-second pitch. What's it about?
Okay, so we describe it as Foolish Mortals is a merry and macabre point-and-click adventure game. It's totally the classic style of adventure game, so Broken Sword meets Monkey Island, in which you play a young treasure hunter called Murphy McAllen, who comes to the mysterious island of Devil's Rock to try and find the lost treasure of Belmore Manor, where 30 years ago, an entire wedding suddenly and mysteriously vanished. And you quickly find that the best way to find out where a treasure that is, the treasure is only known, its location is only known by the ghosts of this house. And you very quickly find that the best way to find out where the treasure is to ask the ghosts themselves.
And yeah, usually ghosts don't really like talking, so that's going to be, I mean, that's the adventure, right? Getting ghosts to talk. That's quite a thing.
And that's just the start of it. It goes all over the place from there as well.
I mean, with a place like Devil's Rock, you'd think there's going to be some really weird things going on here, that's for sure.
Yeah. You'd think the tourist board would rename it.
I mean, to be fair though, a lot of people would be interested in going to a place like named like that. Like for the ghost, like, hey, there's ghosts here. Like, oh yeah, I want to see ghosts. I mean, especially now, I don't know in the 1930s how big that would be. But right now, people would flock to Devil's Rock. It would be crazy. It would be like, you know, it would be tourist after tourist after tourist. It would be insane. Now, that's a quick, you know, overview of Foolish Mortals, and obviously we're gonna get into it more. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about the studio, why Inklingwood Studios, and you know, what's your background so far?
Okay, so my background is actually in theme park design. So I got to work for Disney, for Walt Disney Imagineering, which is the design and development company for theme parks owned by the Disney company. From that, I wrote a book all about theme park design, which I actually have over here. This is the book that I wrote, Theme Park Design.
You know what?
Words.
Oh Jesus, that's a wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah, the big tome of a book. But the coolest thing for me is that the foreword is by Tony Baxter, who's one of the best Imagineers ever. He designed Big Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, the Indiana Jones Adventure Star Tour, just a genius. And he wrote the foreword. And then the afterword is by Joe Rohde, who designed Disney's Animal Kingdom, which is one of the best theme parks in the world.
Okay, so you got good connections. Can I ask something related to your book? Is your book something that would be maybe would have some academic uses for it? Because it looks like it really looks like a freaking like a tome of knowledge. Like is that something that's used by, I don't know, students who are looking to get into this field?
It is. There are university courses that teach theme park management and theme park design, and they use my book.
Nice, great.
And it was written kind of for three reasons. It was written to be useful for students on how to learn all of this stuff. It was written to be like a reference book for practicing designers, and then also just for fans of theme parks to figure out, like, to find out how theme parks are designed. So hopefully it's useful to all three of those audiences.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, especially since it looks like a freaking tome. It's like such a great. I mean, that's you know.
Even now, I look back at the book and I go, "How did I write that many words?" It's huge.
How long did it take you to write the book?
It was about 3 to 4 years, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was broken up by working at Disney as well.
So how much easier is to write that big of a book compared to making one adventure game?
Well,
I'm joking. We'll talk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take about the same amount of time. There's a lot more people involved in an adventure game, I think.
Okay, so sorry. Go ahead. Continue,
so after that, I then did freelance theme park design. So that was everything from designing small attractions right up to concepting out whole theme parks, which is quite exciting. very few things actually got built, but that's just the nature of the industry.
I mean, as long as you got paid, like that's that's
Exactly.
you came up with ideas. It's not your thing to actually like put it in practice. Like it's okay.
That's
it's fine.
it.
Yeah.
And then after I did some toy design as well. I did some Lego design, which was quite fun. But then I think I always wanted to make an adventure game, ever since I think I was designing adventure games on paper when I was 6 years old. And actually, I showed this on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
So I still have the adventure games that I made on paper when I was 8 years old.
Okay, so who kept those? Did you actually keep them because you want, or did your parents keep them because they're like, oh, this that's adorable, and we have to keep those because they're so.
No, I think I kept them. I think
really
I kept
okay.
them myself. Yeah, I think I've always been the type of person that needs a creative project to be working on, and I just put them all in a tub, and I've just managed to keep a hold of them this whole time.
That's impressive. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'm so glad I have them because it's so strange looking back at them.
That adventure game specifically, what can you tell us? Like this, what's
Sure,
it about?
As much as I can remember, right? So Peter Starlighter is just a total Curse of Monkey Island ripoff.
No, it's a tribute. It's a don't call it like a clone or something. Yeah, exactly.
It's a Curse of Monkey Island, but it's you play a pirate. I think it was. I think it's that thing of when you're starting out as a kid, you do duplicate things, but then you start kind of changing ever so slightly, and it's those gradual changes and that gradual growth that you have that eventually helps you develop your own style. I think it's the same with artists. Like when they start drawing, will often try and copy their favorite cartoons and things like that. And that was my way of doing it with adventure games.
Yeah, because you have to start somewhere, right? Like obviously you're gonna start with something that you like, and back then, so Monkey Island, obviously that's gonna be maybe we're going to talk about Return. I don't know if you probably haven't played it, right? Because you didn't have time for that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which was I mean, very inconvenient of Ron Gilbert to release a Monkey Island game in the month that I'm trying to get the demo and the Kickstarter. Right. Very inconvenient, but no, I had to play it straight away.
I mean, you know what? You have some, if you have some friends at Disney, maybe you could have come on, can't you move it a little bit? A couple of months, just be decent here. Like, you've had all this time to release it. Can you just delete, February 2023? What's the big deal? It's not like he's.
I don't think the other Monkey Island fans would have been very happy about that.
Yeah, but you know what? To be fair, Monkey Island fans should just be content that they actually got a new Monkey Island game. Because let's be honest, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, no one would have thought that there's a new one coming. So that's I mean, I think that was a surprise for pretty much everyone, or almost everyone. Let's say the announcement of Return. Yeah. Okay, so we continue with your background. Sorry.
So it was. So I always knew I wanted to make an adventure game, and I think the circumstances just kind of got right where I decided, okay, I'm going to make the leap now. Because I've been working self-employed, doing freelance work for enough time that I was kind of confident in my ability to just take a project myself and go for it. And so that's what made me jump into it. And the timing was kind of really interesting as well, because so my wife is the programmer of the game. And before Foolish Mortals, I'd never designed a video game. It's the same with my wife. Before Foolish Mortals, she'd never programmed a video game. But what happened is she went off on maternity leave with our first child.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. So whilst looking after a baby, she thought she knew what I was doing, and she said, "Oh, could I help? I'll learn to program." And she did. She just taught herself how to program everything.
Wait. So she wasn't a programmer beforehand?
No, she was a primary school teacher.
Wow. Okay, that's I mean, okay, that's awesome. I gotta say, that's not only does she give you a child, an offspring, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna learn something totally new to help you. That's awesome. Kudos. It's amazing.
Initially, my plan was that I was gonna program the game as well as directing and producing and writing it. And I now realize if I'd gone that route, this game would not be ready for another 3 or 4 years. It was just totally infeasible. So that she was interested in doing that was just brilliant, and the timing was perfect because she had the time to
Mhm.
learn it whilst on maternity leave, and then COVID hit.
Mhm.
So she wasn't able to teach in the classroom, so she had
Right.
more time to develop that. And then we had a second child. So a
Congratulations.
lot of this game has been programmed with a baby
Right.
on her knee as well
Mhm.
as a laptop.
I mean, that's even more impressive. Like that's one of the like you want like cool stories about like women doing amazing things. They'll take that story. Not anyway. Never mind.
Yeah.
The media has issues with who they elevate and everything. But that's absolutely awesome, and especially since it's something new for both of you, and
Yeah.
to see the demo at least. I mean, I think anyone who looks at the demo would not think that this is your first title. Like
Thank you.
it won't, so like in terms of pretty much every single aspect, I don't think that's the case. Now, how did Foolish Mortals begin? Did it begin with this specific story, or did you, maybe start with something else and then it turned into what we have today?
Yeah, so when I decided I wanted to make an adventure game, I actually sat down originally and wrote 3 different story concepts out. So just kind of like one paragraph ideas of what the whole game could be about. And I think I spent about 6 months developing them because it was before I made the jump into going, I'm definitely going to make this. It was just I had that extra time to just think, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do this, and so on. And I came up with 3 concepts. One of them had a bit of a gimmick to it, so I kind of put that to the side because it wasn't a good first project. And then of the 2 other ones, one game I absolutely loved the story for. I just fell in love with the world. I thought this is the game I have to make. And then the other one was a smaller one that I thought, okay, maybe I'll do that, maybe. And so I decided when I went to make the game, I'm going to make the one I didn't like as much, which was
because
Foolish
it was
Mortal.
because it was smaller, because it was a smaller project. It was something
Because it
more
was
approachable.
That's it. Yeah, I initially I thought the big adventure game concept, I didn't think I'd be able to do it justice, being my first adventure game.
Right.
But then when I committed to what became Foolish Mortals, it grew and it grew and it grew, and now it's a full scale adventure game, and I'm totally in love with the world that it's set in, and I now love it more than that first concept that I had.
You know what? Foolish Mortals 2 or whatever you're gonna make afterwards. That's gonna be fun. The funny thing is, like it like depending on how much success you get, and for so far I think it's been doing great. Foolish Mortals with the audience. It's like that other game concept that might have to wait for a long time to be made. Like because it's this one, then people are gonna want Foolish Mortals 2, and it's gonna be like a whole thing, and then but it's fine, just keep that, like just like you kept, that paper adventure game from when you were little. Keep that
Exactly.
idea, and
Yeah.
just keep it there, just so you have it. Okay, that's so. When you started with when you thought about when you committed to Foolish Mortals, did you make any prototypes? Did you have anything like that, like or did you just focus on the story and like, oh, this is the story that I want to make, or I want to tell, and this one what I'm going to go for? Or did you try actually like creating like playable builds, and then you decided?
It was a mixture of both, really. So we did create we called it the skeleton game, where we programmed out the whole game using absolutely terrible sketches that I'd just drawn myself. And we even, because we didn't have a player character, we just used George Stobart moving around the background.
I mean, placeholder. It's a placeholder art, right? So it's
exactly
fine.
That's it. That it was just to kind of feel, and so we played through the game as a skeleton version. But when I saw your interview with Tom Hardwich, who does Lucy Dreaming, which comes out tomorrow.
Everyone.
I played it and it's brilliant. But he was talking about, because he does everything, he's able to be much more improvisational about how we developed the game. He was able to go, oh, I've got a new idea for something, let's put that in, because he could just draw it and code it, and even his wife voices Lucy, so he can get the voices.
He also had like he has also experience from like doing game jams, to like working on like small, under pressure, like in a very small amount of time. So yeah.
Whereas I think for me, so I can draw well enough, but I don't have the patience for it. So I knew I was going to have to get better artists than me to do this. And because of the style that I wanted to hit, which is that broken sword graphic style, and the quality level that I wanted to get into the game, I knew it was just going to cost a lot of money, and I couldn't afford to be able to meander. I needed to pretty much lock everything down from the start. So I knew what everything was going to cost, and I knew it was realistic that I was going to be able to afford everything that I needed. So
you
so
couldn't
that's
change. Yeah, halfway through, like, I'm gonna change this. Yeah, that's gonna be a whole
let's put a
nother
whole
cost.
new part into the game. I couldn't do that. So we did the skeleton version of the game and played through that to make sure that it felt right. But then I had to go back and cost everything out. I specifically wrote, this is how many backgrounds we're going to need. This is how many characters. This is how many voices, and find out how much that was all going to cost. And I did have to cut content out of the game because of that. In fact, actually, I can tell you. So the way the game structure works. So there's 4 parts, just like Monkey Island, where in part 1 you explore the island but don't go in the house. Part 2, you explore the house but don't go around the island. And then in part 3, you get to explore the island and the house together. And a whole bunch of new locations open up to you, like things that were locked doors in parts 1 and 2 become unlockable in part 3, and new characters come in, and other characters move around, and all the story moves on. So it feels brand new. But when I originally designed it, part 3, you were going to go off Devil's Rock completely to 3 other locations around the United States, and I realized I cannot afford all of those additional backgrounds. And I should say, the number of backgrounds that we have 70 backgrounds, approximately 70 backgrounds, in addition to dozens of documents and dozens of paintings and everything. So the world that we're putting the player into is as big as Monkey Island and as Broken Sword. I just had to be very clever about how much I could reuse backgrounds to make sure I got the most bang for my buck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 70 is not, it's impressive anyway, so it's not like, everyone's gonna like, only 70? It's like, that's pretty good. They're very detailed, and it's very hard work. And by the way, like, in this approach, is this something that also allowed you to go for the stretch goals, like to have like a if you have new rooms that you can, or maybe new locations to add, right? That it seems like your design was a bit more, at least to some extent, modular, so you could add or take out things, and then you wouldn't be as constrictive.
That's definitely it. So although it was planned out, it wasn't crazily rigid. There was some leeway that we had. So our background artist, David Chapora, he spent 2 years drawing out backgrounds, but for the last 6 months, he's been drawing out edits to existing backgrounds, because we have realized, this puzzle would work better if you could see this at this point, and this would be better if this was here. So we have been able to tweak it, and we changed puzzles and everything. And like you say, with the Kickstarter that we're running at the moment, the stretch goals that we've been focusing on at the moment are to add in content that was in the original design document but had to be cut to pull everything down to an affordable amount. So for example, in part 1, the whole goal that you're trying to do in part 1 is to put together a voodoo spell, and that has 5 ingredients that you have to find to be able to do that. In the original design document, it was 7 ingredients. And so we've already hit one stretch goal to add a 6th ingredient in, and I'm really hoping we hit the 7th ingredient stretch goal, because I'd love to have those 7 that I originally designed into it back in the game.
Well,
and then as well as that, there's
go ahead, sorry.
So, and then in addition to that, there's backgrounds as well that we cut out, but they can be added back in, and we could. And they're not just filler backgrounds as well. That's because I could very easily just add in backgrounds in between other backgrounds where you don't actually do anything. But there's a way, thanks to that original design document I did, to add extra backgrounds that actually have meaning. They have interesting things to do there that contribute to the puzzles and the story. and yeah, it's really exciting that I now get to go in and add those in.
Yeah, that's. I mean, especially with the stretch goals. I mean, you already hit quite a few. I hope. I mean, it should be. Both of them should be hit. The next two ones, and it's such a because I want to see the other ingredients as well. It's like, oh, only 5. I want more ingredients. Like this is like I want like the biggest voodoo spell ever. Because technically it is a huge voodoo spell. You're not like it's not like you're just putting a curse on someone. No, this is a very serious thing that has life and death implications. Let's just say, right? So it's not just. Any small, voodoo curse.
Yeah, we on the Discord for the game as well. We've been. I'd asked if anyone can guess what the other 2 ingredients are. I'll say one of them has been guessed and one of them hasn't.
What, a chicken? No, I'm kidding. No, it's well. Does it have to be related to? Oh yeah, see, that's the thing. Because how do you guess? Because it have to be related like to the life of the people there. It could be or to the history of the place.
It's actually they're actually kind of traditional voodoo ingredients, a lot of them, and that when I was planning out the puzzles, I looked up traditional voodoo ingredients and just made a long list of ones and a long list of them, and then tried to think, okay, what would be an interesting sequence of puzzles that would get you to have this. Like I think red brick dust was one that I quite liked. But we never got in.
So that's one of the 6 or 7. That's the 6 or 7.
That's a different one.
That was one that was cut. Okay,
it was.
And speaking of your research, so tell us a bit about the world and why did you choose the setting and this timeline, right? So we are in the 1930s, right? 1933. Why did you go for this one? It's like because it feels like very old and new, well, old and modern at the same time. This because there's elements that you could relate to, especially if you're born before 2000, I guess. And there's lots of things that are a lot older than that, and they feel like they're more ancient. So why did you choose specifically this time, especially since technically, right, the main event, the catalyst of this whole adventure happened more than 3 decades before?
Yeah, I think it was because if you set it in modern times, which was initially our thought, you have to have it like cell phones get brought in and computers get brought in, and they didn't really fit the feel that I wanted to have for it. Yeah, that was pretty much the main reason. So I knew that I wanted to drop it back in history, and it was kind of the 20s and the 30s was kind of what I dropped it back to, because there's kind of a romance to that era that I think suits it. And in fact, it was the puzzles that made me decide on the Prohibition era, because one of the voodoo ingredients is rum, and that becomes a lot more difficult to get when alcohol is banned in the country.
Yeah, but Louisiana, something tells me that Louisiana did not have major issues. Like if you were a person going through in general through Louisiana in the 1930s, I don't think you would have that much big of a problem to get alcohol. I don't know why. I don't know, because those people seem like
Yeah, we have a reference to that in the Captain's Club, where you can ask the maitre d' if they serve alcohol. And he gets very panicky and says they've had dealings with the Officer Mo. We've cleared it up. We're not doing it again. So it was a good answer. I mean,
it was a very serious and weird time, definitely for the whole the United States. With the FBI back then, and all the stuff that they were doing, and prosecution for alcohol, which is crazy. But when it comes to Devil's Rock, right? So it's a fictional place, right? It's a fictional place. It does. Why did you choose that area of the United States? Because I'm guessing maybe you had multiple options to. And,
Yeah. So it was because we knew we wanted to put voodoo into the game, and obviously that immediately ties into Louisiana, and you've got the big plantation houses, and you've just got that iconic look of the haunted house. So that kind of fell into place quite quickly. But I didn't know enough, being from the United Kingdom. I didn't know enough about the real Louisiana to be able to place it in New Orleans, like so what's the name of the game? Gabriel Knight.
Right.
Yeah, so I knew that wasn't the way to go. I needed to go for a much more fictional route with it. And because of that, that then combined with the Monkey Island thing of being on an island that has multiple locations and the story all kind of coming together on that island, I thought that could marry well with it. And so the idea of putting it on an island off the coast of Louisiana kind of allowed for the best of both worlds. It was connected to Louisiana, but at the same time was its own little world that was all self-contained and everything. And then there's the causeway that you don't see this in the demo, but there is the game starts with a causeway that a taxi rumbles across that links the island to the mainland, and then we have the sea cover that over, so you get isolated on the island, which is very much like a ghost story trope, like you're trapped on this island until morning. And so that kind of all just fell into place like that, and that's kind of where it came from.
Now, one of the locations that you had initially the idea to the extra locations, was it one of them was New Orleans, the actual city?
No, it wasn't.
Further?
No.
Oh, okay. So you would go quite a bit away, like you would be traveling quite a bit.
Yeah, it was going to be that there was a train station just across the causeway, and then you'd then go to a map of the United States, and there'd be 3 locations across the map of the United States plus Devil's Rock.
Oh, okay, so Foolish Mortals 2 idea, right? Basically. I mean,
I have said that. I've joked with that to my wife, but she says, "Let's get this game finished first."
I mean, this is gonna happen anyway. That's not the problem. It's like, you have to plan ahead. I mean, okay. From her perspective, we get it because she's the programmer. You're the idea guy. You're the story guy. So you have to think 5 steps ahead. And obviously, she has to be in the now. It's like, what do we need to do now? It's like, I understand that, but I also need to plan, or other stuff like for tomorrow and the next day. So so that's for Foolish Mortals 2. I'm not gonna confirm any locations because I don't know. I'm gonna suspect maybe Las Vegas, something like that, because that would be great in the Prohibition times. Somewhere in the northeast, probably not New York though. Philadelphia maybe, I don't know. And third location has to be the West Coast somewhere, right? You're not gonna confirm. It's fine. I understand. It's fine. That I just, I'm just, it's, throwing ideas out there. It's fine. Whatever you choose, I'm sure it's gonna be great. But that will be really interesting because it's like with something like Foolish Mortals, and because the character seems like he's Murphy, leaving aside that he has like a George Stobart type of kind of look to him. The character seems like he's in too much over his head, kind of like that. Like he's just starting out. He doesn't really know. He just wants adventure, but he's a newbie in all this. So to me, playing the demo, it kind of felt like, oh, this is his first adventure. He really doesn't know what he's doing. And this is going to be kind of like a launch pad for future, quests for him. And this is just his first big thing, because he really seems like he's not an adventurer, at least in my view, from what I've seen. He's like, no, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here exactly on this? Why are you on Devil's Rock? You should be probably somewhere in, I don't know, in an office or something, trying to work. He doesn't feel like an adventurer type. Which is that something that you planned or you wanted, or am I missing the idea of Murphy, the main character?
No, I'm quite glad you said that, because that's pretty much what we were going for. We didn't want him to be we wanted him to be as idealistic as Guybrush would and as George Stobart, but he wasn't supposed to be as hapless as Guybrush, and he wasn't supposed to be as efficient as George Stobart. There was like a middle ground that we wanted him to have, and it is meant to be. It's kind of it's not supposed to be like blank slate character, but it's definitely meant to be a character that you're meant to kind of put yourself into, I think.
Well, he doesn't seem like a blank slate, because I mean, he seems like he's at least interested in the occult. He's interested in ghost stories. He's interested in, because why would you have the Marian Macabre Gazette, the magazine? That, like, to me, as I read it, it was like, oh, this guy's interested in this type of thing, in the unknown, in ghosts, maybe, and he's interested in this. He wouldn't just, he wouldn't just have this just because. He was probably like, subscriber to the magazine, and that number just had, that specific issue just had the story about the manor and about the wedding, and it's like, oh, I want to go there. So I don't know. That's how I picked it up.
Yeah, we go more into his backstory in the full game, but it's definitely that idea of he had this magazine that told him about this treasure, and he's kind of at this point in his life where he kind of realizes, okay, if I want to go for this, now's the time to try and do it. Like it might be a completely foolish decision.
Foolish mortals, yes.
But it's
he
needs to do it now, otherwise he's going to miss that opportunity. Which, as I say it, I'm kind of realizing, oh, is that my approach to jumping into making an adventure game? So,
I mean, you write what you know, right? That's the thing. Even
So
without realizing, even without realizing, you write what you know. But that's because it is an adventure. He's partially your avatar. Why not? That's a good thing. That makes you more connected to the character. That's probably gonna make for a better written Murphy. Because of that. Because you're real, your quest is real, so his quest is gonna be real, and he's gonna be more real through your writing because of that.
Yeah.
So
I can go really like Inception with it, and if I do a Foolish Mortals 2, it can be about Murphy making an adventure game based on his adventure.
That's a bit too meta, maybe. I mean, you could, but like him making an adventure game like when, in the 1940s, like 1930, like that's not really gonna work unless
you could go after some more ghost treasure. That would be
yeah. Or you can Foolish Mortals 2, like Murphy in space. He's just gonna be like, I don't know, something weird happens and he's taken to, I don't know, 2177. Why not? You can do whatever you want. It's your game, right?
Voodoo does it.
So can you tell us a little bit about the background of the character? So, like, is he from around the area? Does he arrive at Devil's Rock from really far away? What's his what's his background? Like, what does he know exactly? Where does he start off becoming an adventurer?
Yeah, well, we don't pin it down that much. I think we actually went through a few different backstories for him. Like at one point, he had parents who were kind of pushing him towards like accountancy, or we didn't really pin it down, but that type of thing. And he kind of realized the first way we wrote it was that he realized that wasn't what he wanted to do. So that's why he had to make this leap into trying to do something that had kind of captured his imagination. But then we kind of realized it was more backstory than was really needed for him. So in the end, what we decided was that he doesn't have much of a past. If you talk to the witch doctor, in the full game, he'll kind of go into this, that he was just orphaned at a young age. So just went from orphanage to orphanage, without much really anyone noticing anything special about him. And so when he got this Merry & Macabre magazine where he read about this treasure, he kind of had this realization that if he doesn't have much of a past, this could be his route to having a future. And without many other prospects, he thought, that's what I should I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to throw myself into it and see if anything comes of it.
Yeah, without a screwdriver. Who goes on an adventure without a freaking screwdriver? At the very least, like, you're going to need that. Either a screwdriver or a coin. I mean, I don't know, it's fine. It's 2022. You'd think all adventure game characters would know to take a screwdriver with them. Anyway, it's okay. He's probably going to find one eventually. Now, when it comes to Devil's Rock specifically, right? So, like, well, the demo goes a little bit into the story and the reality of Devil's Rock. How active is Devil Rock when Murphy comes on? Because the town seems to be pretty dead, but maybe it's just because nighttime. Are we going to see more activity on Devil's Rock, in maybe in the locations that are not available in the demo? Because it seems a somewhat kind of dead island, like it's like or a moribund island at least. And
Yeah, well,
it's yeah.
we, in the backstory, we go into how it used to be a hub of commerce, specifically for the Belmore Trading Company. So ships would come in from the Caribbean, from across the United States coast, going across the Atlantic to Liverpool and to France and everything like that. So there used to be all of this stuff going on the island. But ever since the wedding happened and everyone disappeared at the wedding, the company just immediately collapsed because of that. And ever since then, everything on the island has been impacted because of that. So all the characters that are still there are very much characters that are cut off from regular society, both literally and figuratively, literally being because of the causeway. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on the island, but not in a kind of bustling sense anymore. It's very much an island that has mysteries that have been left untouched. And it's up for the player to start figuring out what those mysteries are and what caused them and what links them and everything like that. So it's purposely meant to be quite a quiet town, so that you can start filling in the blanks.
Yeah, so pretty much probably a lot of people just left, in the 30 years that passed, they just left, and this is just the remnants of whoever's crazy enough to still stay there and not really have a life or a purpose. Which,
that's it.
interestingly enough,
character.
well, we do have one character.
Sorry, yeah, any character that's left there must be slightly eccentric enough to be able to stay
right
there. Yeah.
I mean, the news editor seems like she has a plan, though. Like, it's because in the demo, she seems like the one person that would be a very good ally in the sense that she could help him because she could get a story out of all this. So can you tell us about the character and maybe her motivation, and if she's gonna have a bigger impact on the story because of her job and because of her character? Because she seems very willing to get the story of her life and become a famous person, a famous editor, a famous writer.
Yeah, I think so. That character is Evelyn Stoker, or E.V. Stoker, who's the newspaper editor of the Juniper Parish Gazette, which is a newspaper that's been operating on the island since the 1860s. I think we put it as. But obviously, decades ago, the newspaper was a lot more important than it was now. So I think from Evelyn's point of view, the way I have it in my head is that she's now the one-woman operation running the whole Gazette and having to deal with not really having many stories on the island to report. So she's got to resort to any devious tactic she can to get a good story. But I think although she complains about not having that, at the same time, she likes being in control. She likes being the one in charge of everything, especially at such a formally prestigious newspaper. And that's why she's still there. I'm trying to think what I can say without going into spoilers. Obviously, more involves her later.
Right. So, yeah. So, like, more involved as in, like, broken sword involvement? Or more involved as in, like, you're not going to play with her. Like, you're going to control her in that regard. But she's...
Oh, no.
Okay, so she's not going to be at any point in time...
It's not even like like you saying like Nico with broken sword. Yeah, no, nothing like that. She's
okay.
She's one of the the non-player characters, kind of equal.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't go any further than that.
Okay, I thought she should be more involved in that, like like she would actually be a participant, and maybe you'd have sections with her, or no, it's just Murphy. Like Murphy's the only playable character. Okay.
That's right.
Because she okay, maybe you're gonna talk to her, maybe ask for her help or anything, but she's not gonna be active like that.
Yeah, and in fact, when you need her help, she's not willing to give it, so you're gonna have to do something else to get the information.
Isn't that like a classic, adventure game? Quid pro quo. You always have to do something to get something. It's just how it works. Maybe it's a reflection of life. I don't know. No, but other speaking of any other NPCs that are not in the demo that maybe you can tease or not spoil, obviously, but tease. Because for example, like, are we gonna meet I don't know, like the priest at the parish? Are we gonna meet, I don't know, I don't know, a caretaker from Bellamore Manor. Like, does anyone work there anymore? I'm not really sure. Because the gardens don't look that bad actually. After 30 somewhat years, it looks pretty decent actually. You'd think at least the outside would be a lot worse. Like nature would have just taken over, but it's actually not bad. So, is anyone taking care of that?
Well, so the demo has 8 characters in it, and the full game is going to have another 28 characters in addition to all of those. Especially because most of the characters that are in the demo, I'm just thinking through, I think all except 2, all except 1 come back. So the cast does grow quite a lot. And obviously, because it's a ghost story, a lot of ghosts. Them are going to be ghosts. So you are going to go into the house and see some of the ghosts there and interact with them. If you watch the trailer, there's a few clips showing some of the ghosts. So we have 2 twins who are ghosts that have a pistol duel. So they're very argumentative, not a fan of each other. So they decide to have a pistol duel. But that's not a very decisive way to settle an argument when they're both dead already.
All right.
We also have a spirit medium whose job was obviously contacting the dead, but that isn't very hard anymore when she's dead herself. So all of these ghosts have ways that they've been impacted on by being dead, but in different ways. But then in addition to that, we also do have more characters, living characters on the island as well. So at the moment in the demo, you manage to go up into the captain's club, but there's nobody there. And if you come down and ask the maitre d' where are the captains at, he tells you to come back later in the evening because they normally come to the captain's club after dinner. And later in the game, we're going to have 2 captains in there, one a riverboat captain, one a sea captain, and sea captain and riverboat captains don't get on.
Oh, so
some good stuff going on in there. And there's even stuff in part 1. There are additional stuff. There's additional characters and locations in part 1 that we didn't put in the demo because we wanted to focus on just on 2 of the 5. Soon, to be, well, now 6, maybe going to be 7 voodoo ingredients. There are 3 additional locations which have characters as well. So
living characters in this, like specifically living characters. Yeah. So, is the majority of the cast, let's say, dead of Foolish Mortals?
I think I counted 50-50? It once. It's pretty much 50-50, I think. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's a good, that's a, equality, right? Equality, like for the living and the dead. That's not bad.
Representation.
One of the things that maybe, at least in the demo, it doesn't really come off anywhere, and that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's a like kind of like a mystery. What's exactly what could be the antagonist to Murphy's quest? Is it going to be multiple characters? Is it going to be like one major, maybe ghost or entity from somewhere else? Because we don't really get a sense of like, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be like that, but in any quest, you'd have people who work against you. So when it comes to Murphy's quest, who does he have working against him? Is it going to be ghosts? Is it going to be like humans that are still alive? Right? Who's going to try to trip him over? As he tries to find the treasure.
So I'm afraid that's something
Spoiler.
I can't get into. Yeah.
Okay. So multiple characters though, like multiple characters alive and dead. You don't know. Well, you can't say. That's the point, right? Okay, because I was thinking like John, maybe that's the one from the artwork, but I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, but we don't even know. That's one of the coolest things about Foolish Mortals, I think, and the demo. It's just like a small piece of it. It's how every single character that you kind of meet, pretty much, has a theory as to what happened and who's to blame. And I really, really like that because your character's a newcomer. You don't know anything. The player's a newcomer, and this is something that happened so many years ago, and you just get kind of like second-hand information. But every bit of second-hand information comes from the biases of each person. So it feels like more like an investigation than anything else. It doesn't feel like as much as of a classic, let's say, adventure game where, I have to get there, I have to get this, combine these things and whatever. No, it's more like, oh, I have to find out the truth. So, and these people are just like bits and pieces of that truth, and they're just adding their biases because that person thinks that it's Abigail, that person thinks that it's some like the sailor, the sailor boyfriend. This thinks that it's someone else that's using the voodoo. So it's a really cool. Could be the brothers. Maybe one of the brothers was experimenting with voodoo. So it's such a to me it's more like a mystery than anything else. It's like find out what happened to all of these people. The treasure is like secondary. It doesn't even it matters, but it doesn't matter as much as solving the mystery of all these people and actually finding out after 30 something years, 34 years, right? What actually happened and who's to blame and where everyone stacks up in this story, where if you go to Devil's Rock right now, everyone's going to have a different version. Everyone's going to accuse someone else, but you're going to be the one who finds out, actually what happened, who's to blame, who had what part in the whole event.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And in fact, when you play the full game, there are some more characters that you'll meet in part 1 that have other theories on what went on. And yeah, it was so obviously I know what actually happened, right, but I had to try and put a lot of work into figuring out, okay, what were this character's thoughts on who was good and who was bad, and what was this person might think something different, and none of them really having any proof about it except just their hunches and their experiences. That kind of implies it, and it is up to the player to figure that out. And in fact, in one part of the game, that comes to a big conclusion where the player is directly asked to figure out who they think was behind it, who was the victim, who was at the end of there's the big cinematic that we have when you talk to the witch doctor about the backstory, and there's a skeletal hand that holds up 3 kind of pseudo tarot cards, and he says, in that house that night there was a lover, a pawn, and a devil, but if you want to find the treasure, no one knows which character was who. If you want to find the treasure, Murphy, you'll have to find out. And that's directly telling the player that's what you need to figure out too. And there will come a part in the game where you're asked to figure out, to decide which character of all the characters you've heard about in the story is the one behind it. Who was just the pawn for the evil character? Who was the person who was heartbroken? And yeah, it is meant to be like an investigative whodunit type experience.
And because of that, is Murphy's journal gonna have a more prominent place in the full game? Because right now in the demo, it's like it's helpful because it has a list of what you need to do and what you need to find. But is that going to be expanded, specifically the journal, and where maybe you can piece things together, or is going to have more data, maybe stuff that people have said and that you can figure out if they're lying or not, or anything like that, like an actually detective's journal?
No, we don't do it that way. And in fact, we're not even as Broken Swordy in that sense. So in Broken Sword, you'll have a conversation with a character, and then that opens up a conversation you can have with another character, and then that opens a conversation you can have with another character, and it kind of, you have like interlinking dialogue puzzles because of that. But we don't do that. And we definitely don't go as far as like some adventure games do, where you have a journal and you've got to pull clues together. The puzzle style that we have is really just like Grim Fandango, Monkey Island style puzzles. It's layered on top of a backstory that has the player figuring this out. So it's never really a gameplay thing. It's always just a story thing.
Yeah, because I was thinking that maybe because of the demo, it's just like a small fraction of it, and then it would be
no, we keep the journal specifically for a to-do list, because you obviously need that, and then also for the hint system, the in-game hint system. And it's handy, especially with Foolish Mortals, in that, like Broken Sword, it's told in that first person past tense style. So it was nice to be able to have the hint system written as Murphy's journal, in the same way that his narration is him telling you the story that he went through.
Yeah, it feels more personal like that. Like you're, which speaking of more personal, I think the amount of, I don't know, lore, right, that it seems like Foolish Mortals is gonna have, like with the Gazette, with, I mean, with, you look at the, for, there's the Kickstarter campaign is linked in the description. You can check out the page with the wedding invitation, the like the obviously the Mary Macabre magazine, the like all those elements that like the captain license, right? Like all those things seems like they're so there's all made to add to the lore. So you can go into the Gazette, you can find out more, in previous issues. You can maybe find more Marian Macabre magazines. I don't know if that's gonna be, no, not in the full game. You're not gonna find any more. Okay, so it's just one.
Just
It's
the one.
still fine. But it seems like a lot of work has went into additional lore elements like those, like the wedding invitation, right? Like that's, if you find that in game, that could be really helpful to see, like, oh, these are all the characters that maybe I didn't find someone, or like, oh, this was actually a huge event and so many people, and maybe that's gonna. So did you want to create to expand on the story with those little elements? Well, not, they're little in the sense that it's a magazine there, it's it's a wedding invitation there, it's like it's a license there, so there's small kind of bits and pieces which, if you take them together and if you're interested and you read through them, you get 100% more of the story overall.
Yeah, well, it's tricky because in one sense, you don't want to just overburden the player with backstory and backstory.
I like it. I don't know. I like that. I so like that. I so like finding elements and like talking to me and finding more things. I mean, that for me that's more immersive. But I understand, like, yeah, some people might not. Might want to speed that.
Yeah, I think I'm like that with games that I like. So typically, what I'll do is I'll play through an adventure game at kind of the surface level, and then if I like it, I'll then go back and replay it again and just try and get every bit of dialogue, every backstory piece, every like really deep dive into it. And so I wanted the game to be playable for both types of players. So at that surface level, you very much can just skip the backstory and just play it for the puzzles. You don't need to know all of that backstory, because the puzzles are just Monkey Island and Grim Fandango style puzzles. They're like very much inventory based puzzles. So it's not even, like I said, it's not even like Broken Sword, where you kind of need to be asking those questions and kind of tracking what's happened. You don't need to do that with Foolish Mortals in order to solve stuff. But then if you do want to deep dive into it, we really wanted to make the world feel like a big, immersive, expanding world. We wanted it to feel real, and that was one of the things that we managed to get through the ephemera, which we call all the newspaper and the magazine and everything like that. I think, and that kind of comes from there are these escape rooms. You can get escape rooms in a box at home, and they typically come with newspapers and architectural drawings and all of this, and it feels so cool when you kind of lay that out all on the table and you kind of piece through it, read through, and you go, oh, that connects up with that, and you kind of build the story out using those documents. That's the feel that we wanted to have Foolish Mortals to have as well, if the player was into doing that. They don't have to, but if they want to, it's all there for them.
Yeah, I think for me it's always been it does matter if you're engaged and you really like the game. For me, it was always every bit of extra element. It's gonna make me more engaged with the story and care more about the characters and the world. And if I care more about the characters and the world, I want to play longer. Like a good story can I think they can take you through a game that's, or at least maybe a part of the game that's not that great, or you don't enjoy as much, But if a game doesn't have those story elements, right? Or that engaging story, then if you hit a snag and like whatever, and you just leave it, right? So for me, in a lot of titles, it was like, oh, I really want to see how the story goes, right? Because I'm so engaged with it and I'm so immersed in the world, and I'm invested in the characters that I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna try to solve the puzzle or whatever it was and go through it. So yeah, I really like especially if you can also get like the physicality of those elements with the Kickstarter pledges, well, the rewards, depending on the player.
Yeah, the player should be rewarded as well for doing that. Like if you do go through all of these documents that we're putting in the big box, you will find things where you realize, oh, that connects up with this thing, even though it's not mentioned in the game. There is additional stuff that you'll be able to find out that the game itself doesn't go into. But then at the same time, a lot of the documents that we're putting into the big box, you do see in the game. So the Merry and Macabre magazine that starts the whole story off, we're putting that in the big box, so you'll actually be able to open the magazine and read the story just like Murphy read the story. We're putting a captain's license into the big box as well, and then a few things which are just unique to the big box as well, but like I said, expand on the story.
And will the captain license have like Murphy's makeshift photo? Is that gonna be like
well, I think we want to leave it blank, so then people can put
okay, right, okay, I got it. Okay, yeah. And I'm guessing the Mary Macabre, it's just gonna have the story that's also in the game. It's not gonna be like 50 stories from around, I don't know, the United States. Like, oh, I have to research all this. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's nice because it's the story element. Yeah,
but we're like, with that, when we originally did the Merry and Macabre magazine, originally it was just going to be like a 2-page thing. It was going to be 1 page was the cover, and then the back page was going to be the story. But then we realized, just by making it just a folded sheet so that you actually get to open the magazine, it's just so much more tactile for when you get the big box. And another thing we're doing with the big box feelies as well is that each of the documents is going to use the type of paper that's associated with that in real life. So the newspaper is actually going to, hopefully, is going to actually use newspaper paper. So it'll feel right when you like crinkle it and hold it up to read the story. And the wedding invitation is going to actually be like thick card. And it's all going to be really tactile. We're going to use like old cheap paper for things like the Merry and Macabre magazine, because it's meant to be a pulp magazine. And then really nice paper for the wedding schedule. And so it should be really good to get all of that. I can't wait. I think that's the biggest thing for it, because I'm in love with big boxes, as you can probably tell behind me, and I love all of the extra stuff that you get in them. So I want to have that feeling for Foolish Mortals as well.
Yeah, for when we're watching the big box tier, it's the equivalent of like $100. But again, you don't just get the box. It's you get all lots of things. Like in terms of if you want merch, then the big box is gonna have lots of it. So it's fine. We can't have a T-shirt with Foolish Mortals because come on, that's not. In 1933, they didn't really have T-shirts like that. People were like dressing in another way, so you can't have that. But maybe a voodoo something. Never mind. That's maybe for anyway.
Well, you get the manuscript in there.
Oh yeah, okay, that counts. Yeah, that's true. So if you want to do voodoo and you don't know where to start, you don't have to travel. You just get the you pledge for Foolish Mortals, and you get to become I don't know, a voodoo apprentice. I don't know how a new person would go about their title. Anyway, discretion is advised. Like if you get hurt trying any voodoo at home, like the developers of Foolish Mortals are not to be. Yeah, exactly. You can't sue them. Sorry, you just do your stuff at home, and you'll be fine. Just be careful with the ingredients.
Just do it in the game. It's safe to do it in the game. That's fine. Then.
I mean, yeah. Well, is it safe to do it in the game? Because from the demo, I've seen that it's not exactly safe. Well, maybe it's not. No, it's not safe. What are you talking about? It's voodoo. Someone gets hurt, to some extent. Come on. No. So that's no. So even the demo, try it in the demo, because no one's gonna get hurt physically, virtually, and sure. But in real life, don't try.
Murphy even says when the game opens, I'd have to die too. So yeah, probably best not to follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, just unless you want to become a ghost, which is well, we don't know if there's ghosts like that. Maybe maybe you can only be a ghost if you do a voodoo spell on an island
That's
in the
very
Caribbean,
complicated.
so on
Yeah.
the Gulf of Mexico. We don't know. You have to find Devil's Rock or the closest equivalent to it. Just go around Louisiana and you'll find it's fine. Now, since you mentioned the gameplay, that it's like classic, combination of various items, get the job done. Let's say, is this kind of like, let's say, I don't know. Hopefully, it's not an offensive word. Streamlined way of playing. Is this something that you wanted? So Foolish Mortals is maybe more friendly to also newer players, or maybe you wanted something that would be great to play also on other platforms, so make it easier to just one, like you just need one click and you're fine with and the UI and the controls could maybe allow Foolish Mortals to be available on multiple platforms because of that.
Well, we are actually aiming for it to be 90s adventure game style, so it's not the modern trend of streamlined stuff. It is much more meant to be like Monkey Island, Grim Fandango, where you have a whole world of locations that open up to you, and you have a lot of stuff that you can do within that world at the same time. Now, we saying that, we didn't want it to for the player just to be lost in it, because we realized people do have less time than to put onto adventure games than they used to. But the way we dealt with that is by doing like the multiple chains of puzzles, like Monkey Island has, where you can do the sword fighting, the treasure huntry, and the thievery side by side. So if you get stuck on one, you can go to the other. That's why part 1 of the game is designed to be 5 different, now 6 different, hopefully 7 different ingredients. So if you get stuck on one of them, you can always continue on the other.
Right.
And then the genius of that structure as well, and I can call it that because it was not me that invented it. Is that the game, the world like narrows down with you as you complete the puzzle. So if you get stuck on one of them and complete all of the others, you realize, oh, well, I've never used that location on the other ones. I wonder if that's got a connection to the one that I'm stuck on. And lo and behold, typically that's the way it will work out. So we have tried to structure it like that. And the game gets progressively more convoluted as it goes along. So part 1 is very short, linear puzzle chains to get each ingredient. Part 2, again, has multiple items that you need to collect with longer, mostly linear puzzle chains. And then part 3 goes full 4 map pieces from Monkey Island 2 style, where it's 3 puzzle chains that all interweave and tangle up and connect up, and you're going all over the place. So hopefully we kind of introduce any new adventure game players slowly into the world. In addition to that, actually, I should say, we also do have a prologue as well. And the prologue is just very linear, but kind of getting you used to how you play the game. And because of the Kickstarter and the feedback from the demo as well, we are going to put a tutorial in there as well. So it is hopefully a game that new adventure game players will be able to get into, but at the same time, kind of big adventure game fans like myself who want that experience of Monkey Island 2 and Grim Fandango and Broken Sword, you can expect that big, grand narrative experience that those games gave you, not just the streamlined 1 or 2 rooms and everything is right there ready for you and waiting. It's going to be proper classic adventure game experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, with 70 scenes, yeah, I would bet. I mean, quick, Act 2, is that the house? Is that happens exclusive in the house? Is that
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And again, it's going to be a thing where you have to get multiple items all within the house in order to do something. So
you can't get out, and then part 3 you'll be able to go in the house, like outside of the island, like around the island and such, right? That's going to be like the freedom of movement. Okay,
that's right. Yeah.
Okay, that's so. Since you mentioned the demo, what feedback? Who complained? Okay, let's hear it. Who complained about the demo exactly?
Okay, so the biggest bit of feedback that we got was that Murphy walks too slow. and they were absolutely right.
Okay, but that's not the huge bit. Okay, sure, all right. If that's the
But
biggest.
the funny thing was, though, it's like I'd been given that feedback by some of the playtesters before it, and we'd increase his speed, and we just look at it and go, it doesn't look right. It looks too
the
fast.
the animation
Yeah.
looks weird. Right.
Yeah, and so we thought, oh, let's lean. We need to go because this isn't a cartoon adventure game. I mean, it is drawn and everything, but it's not cartoony.
Yeah.
It's not like Monkey Island can get away with Guybrush sipping around and everything and things like that. We just thought, oh, we can't do this. And George Stobart walks slow in Broken Sword, so we thought, okay, that we. But actually, it is just frustrating, and it was that thing of once we'd kind of sped him up for a day or two, we realized, oh, actually, this works brilliantly. This is the right speed for him. But I just had to get over that hurdle from first seeing it. But we did.
That does not sound like the worst. Like, if that's the worst criticism, it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I think that was the good thing. Yeah, when that was the biggest. Yeah, I think some people say that there's too much dialogue, but then equally,
have they played adventure games before? Like, first of all, it's voiced. How awesome is that? Like, you can skip through them. That's like okay. If you're complaining about dialogue when it's voiced, it's like complaining about, I don't know, a book that has, I don't know, page numbers. It's like, no, it's a good thing that there's page numbers because you can, go through and see, remember what page you leave a sign there or something, or a bookmark. It's like you don't have to read. You just close your eyes, literally, because it's voiced, you just close your eyes and you just listen to the amazing characters, and you can, tell apart, who's talking, after a little while, and that's it. How is that a complaint? Like, you just, just close your eyes and you just listen, and then the story comes to you. What's the problem there? That's weird.
Well, that's the thing. Other people have said, could you put more dialogue in and more hot spots?
Okay, that's funny. Yeah.
So yeah, it does balance out. But at the same time, I do recognize where those people who think that there is too much dialogue, I do get where they're coming from, because there are times where I play an adventure game and I'll go up to a character and start talking to them, and like 10 dialogue options come up.
Right. I like that.
And
right.
Okay, yeah. This is going to be a chore to have to go through. So it is something that we're thinking about. Like Return to Monkey Island has a writer's cut built into it, where you can, I think I'm right in saying that they designed the whole game, coded it, scripted it, voice recorded it and everything, but then realized that they needed to cut 2 hours of dialogue cut 2 hours of dialogue out of the game. And instead of just binning it, they instead chose to make it optional as a writer's cut. And my only complaint is that the writer's cut option isn't more visible, because I would have played it with all that additional dialogue, but they default. Quite rightly, they do. But I think that's a really good idea. And so now we're very consciously looking into having an option when you start the game of, do you want just the necessary dialogue, like short and sweet dialogue, or do you want to enable those additional dialogue options that go into the backstory that you don't necessarily need to have, but is interesting if you like making those connections? So I think that's something that we're going to try to do. And obviously you'll be able to change it on and off during the game and everything like that. But I think that's probably a really good innovation that Monkey Island 6 did that we might try and do as well, because I don't want to put off the players who just want short, snappy dialogue.
Yeah, they want just a dialogue that's relevant, basically, to them moving forward. I get it. Yeah.
And then the hope is as well, like once they've played through the game once on the short dialogue version, they might then want to go back and play through the game a second time, but with doing all of the deep dive dialogue. And
or you could do something like a UI element that highlights the lines that are relevant to the story, and like the secondary ones would be, I don't know, something else. And like, I don't know, like put a skull in there. I don't know, like put like a skull with, like, I don't know, like, red eyes or something, and that's the important thing. Yellow eyes with, I don't know, like semi-important, and I don't know, gray. It's like it's extra lore. If you want, you can go through it, and it's nice because you find out more about the world. But if you don't, you can skip this. Something like that. I don't know.
It's like the current day equivalent of regular monkey and mega monkey versions of Monkey Island 2 and Curse of Monkey Island. And Monkey Island 6 had it as well. Yeah, but this time instead of more puzzles, it's more dialogue.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. With adventure games, like, dialogue is a good thing, right? Because it's the main way you get information about the world, right? Like, your character looks at something and says something. Your character talks to another character, and they get clues from that character. So it's that's dialogue is one of the biggest things about an adventure game, together with the puzzles, right? So anyway, yeah, I guess it depends, because some people want to, it's a balancing act, I guess, right, with everything.
Yeah, well, it's trying to allow the game to be the type of game that the individual likes to play. I don't want to force players to do stuff just because I like it. I want it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, more options is always good. So, like, whatever you choose, right? That if you give people options, I think that's the greatest thing. Is like, you play however you want to play it, and we're giving you these 100. Like, if you want hotspots, if you don't want hotspots, like if you want all those things.
Yeah,
like, for example, with a game like Foolish Mortals, I don't want them. They're games that have a specific look, especially like the visual side, right? Where I would like hotspots, like highlighted hotspot, because it's literally pixel hunting. But with Foolish Mortals, with the visual style especially, and the way it's constructed, where like they're not like, if there's something that's relevant, it's pretty clear visually. So I at least through the demo, I haven't had any issue with like, oh, this is something I can use, this is something I can interact with, or can I interact with this or not? That wasn't exactly an issue. So it depends on the game. In Foolish Mortals, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want anything highlighted, because I can find everything fine because of the visual and how it's drawn and how things are put in perspective. So that, I think, it also depends on the game with tips like that, with highlights like that. Like, pixel hunting, no one wants to do that technically, right?
Exactly.
But it also depends on the game, right?
Yeah, we tried to kind of structure each background so that you would kind of be drawn to the most important things.
Yeah, it's really like the horseshoe. Like, even if you went past the horseshoe does not let you go past it. Let's just say that.
I'll actually say, genuinely, that was a puzzle I worried people weren't going to get. Yeah, because because you can see the gazebo and kind of see that there's nothing really in the gazebo. I was thinking, well, why would anyone walk into it?
I don't know. I was drawn directly to the horseshoe right from the beginning.
Well,
like, why would you put a horseshoe and sit on the gazebo, like at the edge of the? It doesn't seem like these people had horses necessarily. That's interesting. That's an interesting element for a gazebo, where a gazebo is about like plants and flowers and everything. Like, a horseshoe, interesting. So that's why I clicked on it. It's like, oh, okay. And then I went.
Yeah. And we made it so that I think that we put the chair and the table in the gazebo as well, so that clicking on that would have Murphy walk into it. I think if you click on anything to the right of the gazebo, Murphy walks to the edge, so it's like he's looking out over the sea. But I'd say that puzzle is actually my equivalent to the fish puzzle in Monkey Island 1, where Guybrush has to walk to the very bottom right of the pier and to step on the plank.
Right.
And in that as well, you don't have any real reason to walk down onto that plank. And so in my head, I'm thinking, well, that puzzle doesn't make sense. That couldn't work. But obviously it does work, because it's a memorable puzzle. So it's one of those things that I was worrying about, but turns out to be absolutely fine.
No, I think it worked fine. I don't think anyone missed it. Did you miss the horseshoe? Like, no, I definitely no, I didn't, and Murphy definitely didn't, because that's it's a very if you don't know what happens, check out the demo. Just see the links in the description below. You can download the demo of Foolish Mortals, play it, and see what I talk about with the horseshoe. And
it was fun finding the sound effect for it as well.
Yeah, like what was like did you look through I don't know, collections of audio, I don't know, bits, or did you let's go to a farm on the I don't know.
Oh no, we got all our sound effects from collections. But I wish I could remember what I searched for to be able to find that sound effect.
Right.
But it works.
I mean, it definitely works fine because it's a memorable thing. That's for sure. For especially for Murphy and the player, I guess, because through the avatar. Now, one of the things that stands out, I think, and it's probably gonna stand out more in the full release is the music. I mean, the setting. It's like it's a very spooky themed, kind of like tense in the demo. I think it works perfectly with the idea of like voodoo ghosts and it's night. It's an island that's not there's not a lot of people around. You don't really know what you're gonna find. There's spirits around. There's ghosts. There's who knows what you're gonna find. That's weird. So what are the plans for the full release when it comes to the audio part?
Well, the interesting thing about the music, the way we're doing the music, so apart from this, the cutscenes, obviously where the music is synchronized to the action, the approach that we've taken to background music is to do it the Broken Sword style way, where you have pieces of music that play when you enter a scene, but then don't loop. Like it's not like Monkey Island where the background music loops. So we have got, for the 70 scenes that we've got, we've already, our composer Matt Isaac, who's just brilliant, has already given us a library of themes, like a discovery theme and an exploring theme and a voodoo theme and all of that we can use to build up all of the environments when you go into them, and also swap them around depending on what the emotion is at the time when you're going into the scene, often because you'll return to a scene and have something different. So we're obviously going to fill it up with more of those, more music for the cutscenes. So like the cinematic that we have, the ghost story, Abigail's story, we have 3 more cinematics like that, all which are going to have custom music done for them, which I can't wait to hear, because every time Matt sends me a new track, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen to this. It's brilliant. So there's a lot like that. But in addition to all of that, one of the more interesting things that we're hopefully going to do, if we hit, I think it's our next Kickstarter goal.
The next puzzle, right?
Is to have an interactive song puzzle, which I think it's only been done once before with Curse of Monkey Island's A Pirate I Was Meant to Be, where you have to you choose a dialogue line and the pirates rhyme something to it and continue singing. We're going to do something similar to that. It's a different puzzle entirely. It's something new, but it's going to be an interactive song puzzle. So you select a line, and then the characters that are on screen sing in response to what you've chosen. And I think
you have to find the right combination, right? Because it's a puzzle. It's not like you can choose anything and make it right.
Yeah, you got to do something. Yeah. So I won't say what the puzzle is, but yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it's we've kind of roughly tested it to make sure we can program it, and it definitely seems doable, and especially if we hit the goal and are
I think it's like less than $1,000 away, or maybe $1,400 away. So like £1,000, so British pounds. So I think it's gonna be hit for sure, because that's the next stretch goal. Well, speaking of Luisete, which I think they're making an adventure game as well. Torenzo Entertainment. They say like in Gibbets, there's an interactive rap music puzzle, which I have not played Gibbets to my shame, but I'm imagining right now the black cat is rapping. I don't know why, but that would be adorable. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I read about that, but I haven't. Yeah, I haven't played it to that. I think I played the demo, but I haven't played the full game. I get their animation is absolutely gorgeous. Like our animation, I'm so over the moon with our animation, because we have an animation company that's doing it. But I remember playing the Gibbous demo before I started on Foolish Mortals, and just thinking I cannot get anywhere close to this. But then the company that we've gone with have done such a good job with the animation that they've done. I'm so pleased. It's kind of way beyond what I was expecting.
Now, unrelated to the stretch goal puzzle, which I'm sure that's going to be hit. There was a mention of sea shanties. So are those going to be available regardless of like are not going to be a puzzle? You're just going to hear them, like maybe in the Captain's Club or like some
Um,
ghost pirate something?
but
Like are we going to
so,
have like yeah, tell me.
no, so the sea shanties are actually the music that you hear when you go to Dead Nettle. Um,
Oh. Oh, they're not
yeah,
okay, sorry. I thought they were
yeah.
like they were actually like like sung by like
Well,
I don't
they're
know,
not
dead
sung in the
pirates or
game.
something.
They're not sung in
Mm.
the game, but
Hmm.
there are lyrics for those pieces of music. But we've included them in. This is what I was saying about the documents that you get have additional stuff that you won't get in the game. You'll
Hmm.
get the lyrics for those sea shanties
Ah.
if you get the big books.
Hmm. So you can
And
sing
then
along.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was so fun because Matt sent me that music just saying, "Oh, I need some kind of sea shanty sounding music," and he
Hmm.
sent me the two pieces that we have, and I just love them. And like the next day, I sent him a message back saying, "By the way, I've written some
Rhythm
lyrics for
some
music."
yeah.
And he was like,
That's
"Oh my
good.
god, this is brilliant." That was really good.
Oh,
But then we also some other types of music as well. So there's a music room inside Belmore Manor
oh.
with a ghost pianist playing at a piano.
Oh.
So we've got some like hauntingly beautiful piano pieces that Matt Isaacs composed, um, which are so nice to listen to. And then obviously there's the Captain's Club as well, which that has two kind of old records, 1930s style music things that go on. So we've got quite a lot of variation in the music,
Hmm.
um, in addition to all the stuff
And I'm guessing
that's
the mansion is gonna have a lot because it was a wedding party, so that
yeah.
must have had like some really cool music.
Yeah, so one of the big things, so the main theme of the game, the piece that plays when you watch the opening credits, the name of that is the Foolish Waltz.
Hmm.
But then in the game, there is actually a waltz that you go to, and we've got that music kind of reorchestrated in a waltz style.
Hmm.
So we repeat the theme in different ways depending on the situation.
That's not. Wait, can you dance? Are you going to dance in the game, or is it like like you're gonna see ghosts dancing?
You're going to see ghosts dancing.
God damn it! Come on, can't either be a puzzle where you waltz? Cause like, okay,
Well,
nothing
I
against
will.
Murphy, but he seems like he doesn't even know you know, how to dance. That'd be so funny if like he would get a ghost to teach him how to dance. Anyway,
Well,
that's
I will
that's
say you do have some control over the situation.
okay, okay. All right, you to like like touch her like lower back. No, never mind. Like what lower back? She's a ghost. My hand goes through her. Like okay, well, okay, that's
More
now
expressive.
another huge thing when it comes to the audio, and it's all very obvious, of course, is the voiceover. Now, me, I'm always a proponent for voice characters. It's just if you can do it, like do it well. Let's just say that if you can do it well, do it, because well, some people mention that they do like to imagine the characters' voices, right, and then
Right.
have just. But me, it's like I'd rather. To me, it's more interesting to see the character, to hear the character the way the character's creator made them. So if like when a team of developer makes a game, they make a character. It's their imagination that brings them out of nothing, and I want the full picture that was in their head, right? And that includes like anything, mannerisms, like I don't know, accent, doesn't matter, like tonality, everything, absolutely everything, background, everything, like this to the smallest details, because that's I want to know as much about the character as the person that created it. So to me, it's always an awesome thing to have voiceover. Were you from the beginning thinking like I want a voice point and click adventure game, or did it come maybe later as you saw that, oh, we can, what, we only have two children, so maybe we can find a little bit, like not three children yet, so let's with two we can actually afford to get some voiceover done.
No, I think in my head, I knew because my thinking was that I might only ever get to make one adventure game. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
only going to make one adventure game, I want to make it properly. I want it to be the full realization of the dream game that I have in my head. So I knew that's what went into the decision of having high resolution, hand-drawn backgrounds, high quality animation, and obviously fully voiced, just like Broken Sword and Monkey Island. So I knew right from the beginning that I wanted it fully voiced. And it was actually an interesting, because I'd never done voice direction before, so it was an interesting thing to do. And initially I put out just like an open casting call for people to audition for the characters, the eight characters that are in the demo, and I just thought no one would get back to me. I just thought people would go, why would I want to do this? And obviously we're paying for it, so maybe that motivates people. So almost certainly does motivate people.
I mean, yeah.
But we actually got for 8 characters, we got over 1,000 voice files.
Wow.
To listen to. And looking at that now really panics me, because the full game has 4 times as many characters again, which kind of suggests 4,000 voice files that I'll have to listen to next time.
I mean, not every ghost needs to speak. Like, you know, can you make a mute ghost? Like, I don't know, it's the uncle of Abigail, and he's like, he doesn't speak that much. I don't know, yeah.
No. They all speak.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of yeah. So, but I mean, it's really fun at the same time. There was a moment when we were going through recording Murphy's dialogue, and obviously it's all in a spreadsheet, and the kind of voice actor just kind of does 3 takes of each line, and then if I hear the take that I need as one of those, they just move on to the next one. I don't have to say anything. If it's not quite right, then I'll jump in. But there's a point where Josh Portillo, who plays Murphy, was going through the inventory descriptions, like when you right click on the inventory bar on each of the inventory, and he was just going, it was a fish that blah 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 blah. It was a screw jack, more often used for blah blah blah. And it was so weird, because it was like I was playing the game. And just like when you play an adventure game and you just go through, you're kind of thinking what to do, and you just right click through each inventory item so you can hear a description of it. It was like I was doing that, but months before it was put into the game. It was a really surreal experience, but really cool.
I like how your sort of experience is like, I heard it like, you know, like the character would just name the things in the inventory. It's like, oh great, like you know, it's such a banal type of thing, where it's funny because it's such a, you know, because it's like, you know, the big dialogue thing was like, you take your hands off, or like stuff like that, like something epic. But no, like for you, it's like the description sounded perfect. That's great. That, you know, if it fits, it fits, and that's because, you know, who wants to do more takes? You know, like as few takes as possible, and that. But you know, in terms of the result, I think it's amazing, and it works so well. I like, and one of the greatest things I think is that you like. It wasn't it's not a stretch goal or anything like that. It's like, no, we wanted voice, that's it. Like that's Foolish Mortals, that, you know, that's the plan, we're gonna make it like that, and that's it. And all the stretch goals are something total, like other things unrelated to the voiceover, which is impressive. So, you know, I don't know how you're budgeting it, but you know what, that's, you know, how many voices do you and your wife do exactly? Because that's like well, you know, she learned programming. I've done all the puzzles, and now I'm doing 5 characters. She's doing 27, and like, we'll make it eventually. You know, how many games do we have?
That's the thing. I should have, if I was smarter about it, I should have written the character as being a British guy, and then I could just voice Murphy, and that would have been.
You could have added a couple. I mean, it's possible, right? I mean,
well, that's the thing.
Some of the people invited to the wedding, could have been some, I don't know, some, you know, shipping magnates from Liverpool. Why not? Yeah. Can you do a Liverpool accent?
Yeah, well, the Liverpool thing, do it. But, well, the Belmore family are British, so that the backstory goes into so Abigail is going to be a British actress. I've realized you can hear good voice actors, and it's not even that they are good at performing it. There's just some, at least what I found, there are some incorporeal quality to it, where if it's a professional voice actor, you can tell it's a professional voice actor as the player. And so it was very much worth it to pay good quality performers to be able to voice them, because the performances are really good.
All right, so thank you for telling me that I'm not gonna be one of the voices in Foolish Mortals. Never mind. You know what? I was going to do it for free, but if you're like, oh, professional, it's like you really see the difference. Like, thank you. Well, thank you for shattering my dreams.
This is also the reason why I'm not voicing a character either.
Yeah, but okay, but you do so many things. For you, it's fine. Like, you do so many things, you're fine to not do that thing. But anyway, you know what? Okay, I wanted another game in my credits, but you know, it's fine. Whatever, it's fine. I understand. It's your thing. It's, you know, I respect that, and it's fine. Oh, speaking of, well, unrelated to respecting and everything, tell me about the technology. Let's get into, you know, like the, you know, more PC aspects of things, or, you know, more the nuts and bolts. Get your wife on the phone right now, like on the Zoom call. Like, yeah. What engine are you using for Foolish Mortals, and why did you choose it?
So we're using Visionaire Studio. And in fact, the interesting thing is that when we start off, I mentioned before how we did this, we skeletoned out the game.
Yeah, the skeletons were in something else.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Our working title for the game was just The Ghost Game. So then we had a skeleton version of the Ghost Game, which was interesting nomenclature we used there. But when we,
it was for, you know, placeholder. It's fine, you know.
Yeah, when we started out, we did use we used Unity. We used Adventure Creator for Unity, and programmed out all of Part 1 completely in Unity, and it worked well enough. But we knew about Visionaire, so we thought, well, it would make sense to try and program it in Visionaire as well. And just see what was better. So we did that. We programmed the whole game, the whole of Part 1, again in Visionaire, and we realized it just suited us. It just suited us better. I don't really know if I can really pin down why. I think it just clicked with us. It clicked with us better. And the interesting,
it had everything you needed.
Yeah. Lure was a big part of it as well, because we have a couple of puzzles which are adventure. They're not non-adventure game puzzles, but they're still not the usual adventure game puzzles. So they're not puzzles which are like require quick reflexes or anything like that. They're like thinky through adventure game puzzles. But we realized it would be very hard to program them in Unity, at least from our ability to program. Whereas with Visionaire and Lure is a really good scripting language, and we knew that we could get it done in Lure, so that probably nudged us across to it. Made us decide to go that way.
And in terms of the choice, did you consider maybe porting, you know, later on, or was like, no, this just works fine, and we'll decide on porting later if that comes?
That was one of the I mean, I think Unity ports to everything as well, but Visionaire does port to Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Linux, Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. I think, yes. There's so many options to do that, and it's definitely our intention to follow through as many of those as possible. I think the least likely are Xbox One and PlayStation 4, but all of the rest, definitely we want to do, and it's just gonna be so good to be able to play it on the Nintendo Switch, especially. I think that's gonna be really cool.
Is that like the platform, like outside of PC, the platform that you definitely see Foolish Mortals on? Like it's gonna work perfectly on that? Yeah.
It's such a good console for adventure games. And obviously we are going to have to go through and kind of change the user interface so it matches each port, but I think we're going to try and make sure it works on all of those.
Okay, and since you mentioned that, what are the current plans for platform releases? So, you know, first day release, what are you thinking of Foolish Mortals? Is it going to be PC only? Well, PC as in Windows, Mac, Linux, with consoles later? Do you want to do, you know, maybe PC and Switch on the same day, on the same the timeline? What's the plan?
I'm not I'm not. It's not fixed yet. It's kind of really just going to depend on how things go. But it's most likely that Switch will come later. Yeah, it'll probably be we get the PC version out, and then it will probably split it so that between my wife and I, one of us works on bug fixing, one of us works on porting, and we'll just do that for however long it takes.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully
so.
not a long time. It's like, we just had a few bugs. It's fine. Some people reported like the most reported things like, God damn it, Murphy walks too slow. God damn it, how? Like we increase his speed. It's like, we've done it already with the demo. How did that anyway, that would be funny if, like when you release the game, like that would still be criticism. Like, he walks too slow. It's like, God damn it, we increased his speed by like 49%. What do you want?
Yeah, just like a voodoo detective style.
Yeah, just speed. Yeah, exactly. Just make him go. Yeah, but you see that, which is like simple and like blunt, like a very blunt way of doing it. I don't think it would work. Like, to me, it would feel with Foolish Monsters. Like, maybe with other games it would work fine, but with Foolish Monsters, because it has this, especially the visual side, such it brings a realism out. Like, it's a world where you could see yourself in. The characters don't look, they look very real in terms of like anatomically and their everything, their perspective, their size and shape and how they talk, and everything seems very real. Like, you can touch them, and they're just, these are humans. Obviously I see them all the time, other humans at least. If you just made it so they would kind of like transport, or like just it would be very weird with the world that you're building, which is funny because it has ghosts, but even the ghosts look, these were humans, so they wouldn't, you don't have three-headed monsters, you don't have, I don't know, like some weird sci-fi element. These are, it's a realism with super realism on top a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, a Voodoo Detective has a stylization to it that allows that quick travel to work. But we purposefully chose the graphic style that we did because we wanted the world to feel real.
Yeah.
Even though it has got ghosts and murder and voodoo and everything in it, we wanted all of that to take place in what felt like a real world. So when you are uncovering the mystery, it feels all that much more grand that you're doing that, because it feels so real. And I'm reluctant to make decisions that undercut that realism, which was probably one of the reluctance I had to speeding Murphy up before release, although now I realize that was the better decision. And it's also in doing stuff like a lot of adventure games do like a lot of references and in jokes and Easter eggs to other adventure games.
I would do none. Like, if I would make a game right now, I would do none. I'd be like, no, this is totally my world. It's like nothing from the outside. Well, obviously you take inspiration, but it's like no reference to anything. I don't care. This is literally, it's like, I don't know if it's, I've played so many adventure games recently, and like, and you read about games and they all make references to other stuff, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it comes to a point, at least in my view, it's like, you know what? I want a game that doesn't reference anything else before it. Like, anything. It's like, it's a complete world, a complete universe, its own thing. It doesn't have to remind me, it doesn't have to have like a small little like item that's like, oh, that's reminiscent of that thing, or like a small little joke that's like, oh, that's from, I don't know, Terminator, or just like pop culture reference, right? And again, I'm not berating the games that do that. It's just like, if I would do anything right now, I'd be like, no, total ownership. Everything is like nothing from the outside world. This is completely a world that, you're gonna come in, and it's, everything new, like, from the ground up, from my brain, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, there are some adventure games like Lucy Dreaming, like, just her bedroom has so many call-outs.
Yeah, but that makes sense. Makes sense in that world.
It works for that game. For Foolish Mortals, it wouldn't work in the same way that it wouldn't work in Broken Sword. Like, if George started quoting Luke Skywalker, it would just pull out of that completely. And so we very much want you to be immersed in the world through everything that contributes to that.
Yeah, George Stobart does. I mean, to me, he never seemed like the type of guy that would be a fan of Star Wars. I don't know why. Like, no, really, like, it's not like he wouldn't. Like, he wouldn't go and watch it if it was his choice. Like if he went to the movies with Nico, right, and he could choose, he would choose the movie. I don't, and Star Wars would be one of the options. I don't think he would choose that. I don't know why. I think he would choose maybe, I don't know, a romantic comedy so she likes it. Like he would be deterrent, like think about her. Or I don't know. I think he would choose something else, maybe a drama or something like that, but not Star Wars. I don't know. He never seemed to be like that type of like that geekish of a guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. But also in your game, Foolish Mortals, like what are you going to reference in 1933? Like anything that you'd reference, it would be from something that's completely like outside of the world that you are in, and it wouldn't make sense. Like even if you do like small nods, the nods would be specifically for the player to get, and it would just be something that's unrelated to the character. So you would just add something with the character, like a line or something, which has nothing to do with them. And I think that takes away from the creation of the character, because you inserted something in them that is just a nod to a third party. Whereas they wouldn't think of it, they wouldn't use that thing, they wouldn't, they don't know of I don't know, Star Wars or anything, or Monkey Island, like pirates or grog or something. Who would use grog in 1933? They have rum and alcohol and booze probably. Booze probably would be a word, right? That people used back then. I know, but yeah.
That's the thing. It would pull you out of the story that we're trying so hard to put the player in. But at the same time, that's not to say the game isn't going to be funny. It's just that
it can be funny on its own, right?
Yeah, the humor just has to come through from the eccentricities of the characters, or from the unusualness of the situation and Murphy's reaction to what's going on around him. It's got to come internally from the game rather than kind of pulling externally.
Yeah, like what does a voodoo, what does a voodoo, doll do with with a puppy? I don't know, some stupid thing like that. Now I was thinking about the ghosts. Like, oh, you see a ghost in the manor, and they're petting a puppy or something, and the puppy's a ghost. And how can you pet it because it's a ghost? Well, ghosts can touch ghosts. Like, well, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
That was actually something I had to put quite a lot of thought in. What are the logic of the ghosts?
Right.
What are the rules of being a ghost in the game? What stays physical and what turns ghostly, and what can they touch?
Their look, I guess, would stay the same. And can you tease it? Like, are all the ghosts in Foolish Mortals confined to the manor? Some of them might be out, right? Okay, I'm thinking that some of them are out. It's okay. It's fine. Your silence says it all. It's fine. It's good.
For people, like, spoiler for people who haven't played the demo, but you do see Abigail side of the house.
Yeah. The house isn't like the not necessarily the manor, but like the whole estate, kind of like that. Like, they would be off the estate. That's what I mean. Some of them, maybe. I think there would be. I don't know. Because they're ghosts. They could go anywhere. What's the point? I mean, maybe, especially on an island like that.
Unless the voodoo traps them in the house, which is how it starts. Yeah,
that's true. Because voodoo is very, very powerful. It works on the living and the dead. Any game that I know, you're very busy with the Kickstarter campaign and everything. Any game that you're looking forward to right now, and maybe after the Kickstarter campaign and after you finish Foolish Mortals, then you have like 5 minutes and like, okay, let's play another game. Let's play something. What would you be interested in? Anything that's released already or coming soon?
Yeah, it is tricky playing adventure games when you're making an adventure game, because it takes up so much time. But like I said, I did play Return to Monkey Island the day it came out, because I was having to market Foolish Mortals at the time on Twitter and everywhere, and I knew there is no way I can go on social media and talk about adventure games without reading spoiler after spoiler for Return to Monkey Island. So I knew I just had to force myself to play that. And I at some point back and play it through, like really immerse with the writer's cut and play it fully. But yeah, I had to take out some time to do that. And I will also say, just so the last 5 days, my family and I went to a cottage in the Lake District, and with terrible internet access. So we were planning on
you're gonna have to give more details, like what Lake District where? Ontario? Like I don't know what that is.
Well, we had to upload an emergency patch for the game, and it took 11 hours to upload. That's what the internet access was like.
Oh, so you went back to 1998, basically.
Right.
Is that what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're back in time. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you play something there?
Yes, I downloaded the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow before we went there, and so over 3 nights we got to play it. It wasn't the Yorkshire Moors, but it was very much a very similar location, just fields and fog every morning, and it was like the perfect location to play a brilliant adventure game. I enjoyed Hobbs Barrow so much. There's so much that game does right.
And after you played, there was a black cat that just came to the house. Like you didn't even know where it came from. It was just a black cat. Like it was looking at you through the window. It's like, hey, there's a cat. Yeah. Anything else that you're looking forward to? Lucid Dreaming? That probably right.
That's what I was going to say. Lucid. Well, see, actually, because so Tom Hardwich, actually, so who's the creator and designer of Lucid Dreaming, has actually helped quite a lot with Foolish Mortals, because he has, so his regular job is as a digital media company, and so he's done the website for Foolish Mortals, pretty much all of the graphics for the Kickstarter for Foolish Mortals. So not the graphic design of the items and everything, but like the headers.
When did he have time? He was making the game anyway.
Right, I know. So he's done all that, and so I've tried to help when I can, and with
you play tested.
So I've had the, but I haven't been able to play much of it because I just haven't had the time. So I'm kind of particularly over Christmas, I'm hoping that we can take some time out and play through Lucid Dream, and that would be a really good one. Unusual Findings, I think, is another one that I really want to play. Blood Nova, is that the right name?
Yeah, Blood Nova, yeah.
That one.
Also tomorrow, Jennifer Wilde comes out. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. I want to say as well, Blood Nova as well. The music for that they offer the soundtrack as its own individual download. That soundtrack is fantastic. I listened to it on repeat, just like the whole evening, because it's such good music.
You can listen to it without having the game, without running the game. Yeah, just have it as a the soundtrack. Which usually that's awesome.
I'm sure that like if the game even lives up to half of how good the soundtrack is, which I'm sure it will do. But I'm looking forward to playing that.
Okay, so you have a very busy Christmas now. Until then, any last things that you want to mention? Anything that we've not touched on? Any spoiler that you want? No, obviously not spoilers. Anything to shock us, like the butler did it, but that doesn't make any sense. So the ghost did it. It's like Abigail is innocent. Like for people who haven't played, like wait, who, what?
I don't think so. I don't know. I think the process of doing the Kickstarter and releasing the demo has just made me so eager to complete the full game, because the response to it, there's been some critical response, but on the whole, the response
walking speed, great.
But on the whole, it's so good, and it's so good to see people getting like actually into the story and discussing the characters and the motivation for the game. It's so cool to see that, and so I think that I'm able to deliver a big, full-length, deep dive adventure game like those 90 ones. I can't wait for people to play it. I'm so happy with what I'm doing. It's so enjoyable to work on this game, and I just can't wait for people to see it.
So at this point in time, just this is we're doing an exercise, right? We're imagining things. It's not this is not legally binding or anything like that. at this point in time, right, when the Kickstarter is successful, you already hit quite a few stretch goals. You're moving to the next, to especially the seventh voodoo ingredient. Would you say that Foolish Mortals is not going to be the only game that you're making? Like as you thought previously, like this might be the only one that I'm making, so I want to do it great. I want to do it right. At this point in time, with everything, it's like this isn't the last one or the only one. Let's just say that.
Well,
like you're already like this. This has potential.
Well, I think the big thing is that, so basically my wife and I have been working on this full time, and up until the Kickstarter, it was all our own money that we've been putting into this, and it's we've had to put more money in than typical indie games put into their game in order to hit the quality level that we have. But I would say, if we manage to kind of make that money back so it's financially viable for us to continue doing this, I would absolutely love to do another adventure game. Without a doubt, I will definitely like to do another one.
Now you just need to learn music for the next one. So you need to become a composer, and your wife needs to learn.
No, I want to get the same people back. I like Matt Heitig is such a good composer. I would hire him again in a heartbeat. I think David Chapura is a brilliant artist. I want to get Tanya Rieri, who colored our backgrounds and who worked on Broken Sword 5. I'd want to get her back. Just everyone. I wouldn't necessarily say that the other game that another adventure game I do would be a sequel to Foolish Mortals, because I do have other adventure games that but it might be, if I get a story, if I can it's tricky because I think the big thing is, because I am only thinking I might only get to do one adventure game. I wanted to make it self-contained and a conclusion to the story. So it's not like a Monkey Island 2 where there is going to be a hook into a sequel. It's very much meant to be its own story. But maybe one day, if this sells well, if people like it and everything, then I'd love to do another adventure game.
And what would be right now the target that you're, let's say, relatively comfortable saying for release? Like, if you like the release of Foolish Mortals, like right now you think like, I think we can make it by, I don't know, the first quarter of 2024, for example.
Maybe. It's funny because like every single thing has taken longer than we expected to, because it's the first time we've done this. But I would hope maybe late summer 2023 is probably.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
But also, you're working full time, so that's a huge thing. Like if you don't have to, unless a third child comes in the picture, it's like. They're like, whoops, we have to delay. But that's that's a good reason to delay, so that's fine. I'm
just gonna wait till my two sons are old enough that they can help with the adventure game. Then
I mean,
family business.
Why not? That's see what they're attracted to, and like, okay, so what do you like to do best? Like, I like this. Okay, great. You're like I'm just gonna write the story, and we have a programmer. Okay, so like you're gonna do artwork, you're gonna do that. That's fine. The whole family. Why not? I mean, you know what? Oh, well, they're too young, right, to play any they're too young. Yeah. Okay,
Brilliant.
When they're old enough, what would you like? What would be like you don't have to be like just one game, maybe a few games that you would really, really like to get them playing. To see their reaction.
Yeah, Monkey Island 1 is going to be the major one. Playing that as a 5-year-old, I have such vivid memories of playing that, and I hope they have the same thing. And obviously, I played it when it was not the special edition, no voices, reading the text on the screen. And I want to give them that experience as well. But then when they're older,
can you find that? Like that specific? Is it on Good Old Games? Oh, you probably can find it there, right?
Well, I still have the CD versions of Monkey Island 1.
Yeah, but they still work. Oh, that's great. Wait, how old? Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, Jesus
You can play them
Christ.
through
You-
Scum
you-
VM.
No, you really keep everything, don't you? Like, you don't throw anything away. Like, that's like I have the CDs from the 90s. I have the story, like the adventure games that I made on paper when like 20 years ago. It's like, yeah, I can't keep everything. Well, that's great. I mean, that's awesome actually that you still have them. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
one can.
And then
But not
it's
not
really
yours.
different as
Like,
well.
not. I'll be like Foolish Mortals, of course. That's what I'm gonna get them playing. Like my game,
Well, yeah, no,
obviously.
that's what I was going to say. It's really weird to think that one day when they're old enough,
Yeah.
they're going to play that game, and they're going to. I know they're going to turn to me and my wife and just go, "You made this," and we go, "Yeah, we
Oh,
did." Really.
Oh, they wouldn't believe it. Come on, no, no, that's gonna be like when they're like 12 or 13. That would be like, oh, come on, like, yeah, whatever. You made the game, whatever. I don't care. Like, or like at that point, like, yeah, you made 3 games, whatever. Like, have you played Fortnite 2? Like, this is probably not
There we
Fortnite 2,
go.
but at like 5, 6, 7, I think they would be like amazed that their parents did that. I think they're gonna be
It's funny when because my oldest has started nursery now, and like if their teacher asks them one day, what does your daddy do for his
game
job?
developer.
Yeah, and his answer, we've asked him before, and he says, he makes the game. That's his answer. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sorry, but that's accurate. I don't know what was the problem here. That's accurate. Yes, he's making the game, comma, Foolish Mortals. Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
We like he's seen us working on the game before, and like the bit where you see Abigail, he's gone up to the monitor and gone, that is Murphy, and that is the spooky lady.
Also very true. I mean, I don't know what
Very
you're like.
accurate.
These
Very
are just
astute.
examples. Yeah, exactly. Of very astute to the child. Like that's a great thing. Yeah. I mean, you know what? I think it's gonna get attached by seeing you work on it. I think that's gonna be great when they actually get to play it. I think that's gonna be like such a marvel for them. That's gonna be awesome.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Of course, what do you think they're gonna do? Like? Oh, mommy and daddy, I think Murphy should walk faster. Like, what do you think he's gonna say that?
Yeah,
No.
it's a really critical 3-year-old.
Yeah. No. Now, where can people find you? Of course, in the description below, I have linked to the Steam page, to the Kickstarter. So if you want to try the demo, definitely go to the Steam page and give it a try. Maybe leave some feedback. Do not say that the character walks too slow. Okay, that's noted. Okay,
that's already been patched. That's fixed now. He walks at a good speed now.
Okay, so you can't complain anymore, so that's a good thing. And the Kickstarter campaign, of course, you can support Foolish Mortals. The lowest tier that will get you a copy of the game. It's quite cheap. It's like only £14, which is around $16. So it's not an expensive game. It's probably going to be a little bit more expensive when it comes out.
There's
price.
a discount.
Right.
For
Okay, yeah. So, and of course, if you want more, especially the big box, which is going to have a lot of swag, especially a lot of lore swag, which, it's going to get you more in tune with the whole, the world of Devil Rock, and especially the world of Devil Rock when the disappearance happened, when the wedding happened, then you can check that pledge. It's the equivalent of $100, but again, you get a big box with all the good stuff, a CD with the game on, and that's hopefully you can keep it for a long time, like show to your children, whatever you want, but you can have.
And I should say we also have additional add-ons as well, so that there's an add-on that can get your name into the game. So everyone that backs it is going to get their name in the credits, but you can also get your name in the game itself, read out by Murphy when he goes through the archives of the Juniper Parish Gazette. You can get have a newspaper where he reads out your headline, which has your name in it. Beyond that, you can also get yourself drawn as a ghost inside the house, because we need, like I said, we have a waltz puzzle, and we needed lots of ghosts to be obviously watching the waltz, and we realized, that would be a really good opportunity to have people drawn as ghosts put into the game, and you also get a copy of that drawing by our character artist Lucas Benitez, which is another cool one. And then the third add-on is a really interesting one that comes from me having a background in theme park design. We've got a thing called the Spectral Sense of Devil's Rock, the Spectral Sense of the Devil's Rock Perfumery, which is going to be a pack of scents based on locations around the island. So fire and incense. Yeah, there's no rum one, but there's
Ah.
like fish for dead nettle and
Mhm,
incense
mhm.
for the riverboat and gunpowder for the fort. And this has been done by one of my friends who works for a theme park scent company. There's a company called Roma Prime that do scents for Legoland and Madame Tussauds and everything. And he
Oh.
messaged me and just said, "Why don't we do some smells for your adventure game?" And I thought that was such a cool idea that hasn't been done before. So not
Mhm.
only are you gonna like be able to play the Foolish Mortals, and you're not going to be able to read about Foolish Mortals and Devil's Rock, but you're also going to be able to smell Foolish Mortals and Devil's Rock as well. So it's a really kind of unique one, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that is quite like yeah, definitely don't think that I actually well I don't remember anything like that being offered in on
Well,
Kickstarter.
it has it's been
Not with
it's
the
not been
game. Not with the game.
no, not on Kickstarter. But it has been
Yeah.
done before. 1987's Leather Goddesses of Phobos uh, did a scratch and
She's
sniff card,
she's
and
what a name. Like
right,
it's
and
such a
Legendary
name of
Sleep
that
Larry
time. It's such a name of
did
that
it.
time. It's like in '87, of course they're gonna name it like that. Yeah. Jesus.
And Leisure Suit Larry 7 Love for Sale. I think
Really?
that's
Yeah. Also
that was
had.
a scratch and sniff card as well. That was
Oh, but that's
1997, so that's what 25 years ago. It
yeah, but
hasn't been
that's
done in 25 years,
yeah.
so
Yeah, but this
yeah,
is like at a higher level because you don't just have a scratch and sniff. You have like multiple scents, like
yeah,
regards to
it's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
one for each location. So it's 7 different smells across the whole
Hmm.
thing, and yeah, and it also comes packaged like we got graphic design done for the package that it'll come in, so it all looks in universe. It is like you received a gift from this perfume shop on the
Hmm.
island, and
From
it's done quite cool.
that's nice. I mean, and also the ghost. That would be so cool. Okay, so if you get to be a ghost in the wall scene, your name should also go in the on the wedding invitation, right, or something like that. Or how's the yeah? That would be so awesome. Like or because it's a wedding invitation, right? That you get. You don't get a wedding list, right? Because that would be cool to have like the wedding list to see all the characters that and your name
Oh yeah,
among
we
them
don't
because
have a
you're the
wedding
ghost.
list now.
Yeah, yeah, but you have the invitation, so that still counts because like you got the invitation and you're also in the game because you made yourself a ghost in there. That would be awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I like that. I don't know. I like this immersive. With the especially with the Gazette and everything, because I know in the demo, right, you can't do anything. Like you can't look through the archives, right, in the demo. But
Right. Yeah.
like when I went to that scene in the demo, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go to the archives and read every single edition that's available there, just to see like the stories of that they've covered previously, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how are you going to go far back, like to the beginning of the Gazette, like an issue from I don't know 1865 and an edition from 1860, like 75, 74 or whatever.
No, it's not going to be done quite that way.
Like I'm not saying that you're gonna have like one edition for each week of each year, but
Yeah.
like how far are you gonna go back with or the way to the wedding
Well,
with the archive?
it's tricky because I don't want to give spoilers away, but Murphy's after something specific
Mm.
from the archives,
Hmm. Hmm.
and basically I needed to put in a lot of alternate headlines as
Hmm.
kind of red herrings and to show
Okay.
you that you're on the wrong path. And I
Hmm.
realized that a really good way to get all of the content for those red herring newspapers was to make it a Kickstarter reward. So
Hmm.
then people who wanted to be in the game could write their own headline and kind of be in the game that way.
Okay, okay. So if you get that pledge, you also get to the pledger would work with you to get a headline in the Gazette. It's not just
Yes.
like like just getting your name and they're like what do you want? What do you want? It's like well, I don't know the I don't know second edition, the January edition in 18 I don't know 84. I want I don't know someone I don't know like a someone saw Santa Claus or they claim they saw Santa Claus going over Devil's Rock and I don't know like they
Yeah.
shot him or something.
Yeah, that's one of the tricky things, is that we're going to have to work with people to make sure that their headlines do fit the universe. We don't want anything that breaks.
Yeah, of course.
But it's like, it's a good opportunity, I think. Like we spoke to this one person who wants to put a headline in commemorating their marriage when they got married.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
Yeah.
But would it work with the Oh, you just put a different time, or
yeah, we'll just change. Yeah, if it was 2021 they got married, we just change it to 1921 that they got married.
Right.
And then just like allow them to kind of create a character for themselves, so they could say sea captain, blah blah blah, married,
the fair maiden, or like
and put the date in. So it's a really good opportunity to just kind of do stuff like that, which is quite I think that's cool.
Or have something like if you have enough money, do something like that. Do something like, get yourself made a ghost in the wall scene, and then also in a story put like, I don't know, like the constable whatever Van, Van Buren, like, I don't know, like, great grandson of the president Van Buren, expected to go to the wedding, but I don't know, his train broke down and he doesn't know if he's gonna make the wedding, and then you're actually in the wedding because you made it.
That's good. Like, create your own backstory for your character as well. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
And I should say, actually, for getting drawn as a ghost as well, we've had couples that have bought the add-on for both of them, so we can draw them together at the waltz, like holding hands and stood next to each other and things like that.
That's lovely. Yeah, that's nice. So if you get drawn as a character, you don't get any lines, right? Like, you don't have any, like, you don't talk. Like, okay, you don't talk. Okay, right. So you don't interact. You're an NPC there. Like, you can see your likelihood, like your face, basically, right?
Yeah, it worked quite well because the ghosts are in an area that Murphy can't walk over to for in-story reasons. So we didn't have to worry about giving all of these characters their own dialogue and everything.
Yeah.
But it still looks cool.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. So, just finishing words from my side. Just support Foolish Mortals. David, on your end, like, just give me money so we can make Foolish Mortals 2, and have a third child. Because we need game developers, and like right now we're only 2, so we can make a few more.
Yeah, I will say so. We incredibly managed to achieve the Kickstarter target in under 24 hours, which just kind of blew my mind. I was expecting like a whole month of just trying to beg people to take a look at my game. So that happened, just blew my mind. But now I'm not in the fortunate position of being able to do stretch goals. My whole theory with doing the stretch goals, because it's people putting money into the game to make the game better, all of the stretch goals are going to be goals that improve the game for every backer. It's not just going to be, if this stretch goal improves stuff for the people who've paid the highest tier. It's all trying to cut content back into the game, additional music, additional animation, additional backgrounds, and make the game better for everyone. So the more people that support the game, the more we can put into it, and the better it can be.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so again, links in the description below. Support it, and because I mean, you still have some time, so it's not you still have a nice few days to support Foolish Mortals. If you don't know it, play the demo, because I think that's gonna give you a very nice idea of what the plan is and how it's gonna play out. And it's a great demo. It's like it's amazing in terms of quality, very polished experience. Like this. Even the running thing, Jesus Christ, like, don't complain about. It's not the biggest deal. Now it's fixed, so it's fine. But it's a really good demo, so try it out. It's I don't know. It didn't came out of nowhere, right? Because I've been following you for a while, but it was definitely impressive. Like, seeing it, like, playing the demo, it was definitely very impressive, and it's like it's such a. When I saw it first, it reminded me of Broken Sword, and that was that was the first thing that attracted me to the game. But after playing the demo and seeing the world, like, this is gonna be it's a whole different thing that I'm excited about, like the story, and especially to find out like who's at fault, what happened to the brothers, what happened to Abigail. Well, especially the brothers, right? Because they went missing before that. So what? Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty cool mystery to solve. So thanks for coming on, and thanks for everyone watching, commenting, and everything. And in my regard, I don't know, just follow, subscribe, because I want to do this for a very long time. I want to do as many, like when Foolish Mortals 2 is in development, right? I want to, still be around and have David on to talk about that project, or whatever you want to make. That's not, it's not, Although my preference, I would like to see those other locations. Like like I don't know if it's gonna be DLC or something, but it would be nice to see like where you wanted, Murphy. Maybe not like maybe a different story, right, with Murphy, but with maybe some of the locations that you wanted for Foolish Mortals. Because I understand it's going to be the self-contained story. It's going to be, it's going to have a definite ending that's clear, and you're not going to be like, oh come on, like you just left it on the cliffhanger so you can make another one.
Yeah.
I understand that. So hopefully, a second game in the same universe will get us through maybe multiple areas, maybe a bigger, like I don't know, throughout the United States in, I don't know, 1936, a few years later. Why not? He's
That'd
now
be cool.
Murphy's a famous, I don't know, treasure hunter. Would he be a treasure hunter? I don't know. Adventurer, yeah. Before indie, yeah. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Dave, for being here, and subscribe, everyone. Support me on locals, cryptichybrid.com. I'll see you again, because it's super late here. It's like, how long? Just 2 hours and a half. It's good. Thank you so much for watching. Support Foolish Mortals on Kickstarter so we get the best game that David and his lovely talented wife, who's not here by the way, can make, but it's okay. They have the children now, so the Foolish Mortals too. We're gonna have the full family. You're gonna have the children like, okay, so what are you doing? Well, I'm doing the concept art. Like, oh, great, so what? Okay, that would be awesome. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow for a new live stream. Actually, we're gonna play Lucy Dreaming probably, and Jennifer Wild. If everything goes well, I'm gonna do 2-hour live streams at different hours. Because, I mean, do you really wait until you do these things? No, you have to do it on launch day, so, you tell everyone that the game's out. Thank you again, and have an awesome day.